children, Lord, as they pass. Sounds like thunder, but there's no rain. This kind of thunder flows down doors and walls and things. Somebody's crying for those dying, but no one knows how long it's gonna last. Still rest falling to the ground, not knowing what's below. When the end comes, tell me now where we gonna go. Oh, people, that's my la 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 peace song. La 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 la, tell me why can't we get along? Oh, people, that's my la 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 peace song. La 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 la, tell me why can't we get along?
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. La La Peace Song. That's the Peace Project, and I have a sneaky suspicion you're going to be hearing a lot more of that song in the coming months. As a matter of fact, by the time summer gets here, that should be a monster. Look for it. And look also because we've got a fun segment coming up here next, especially for our listeners in Rochester, New York, where this man operates. Well, he runs a radio show on WRFZ FM 106.3, Rochester Free Radio. He's also famous around town for the House of Guitars, and he's got a fantastic story to tell, as well as some music. And we're going to go back in time a little bit because if I've got my story straight, this goes back to, I think he told me the 70s, but it goes back a ways when earlier in his career, he also, along with everything else, he has his own music group. And this is something they did a few years back. So if you would, please, this is Baby Love, I'm Coming Home by Armand Schoubroeck Steels. And there you have it from Rochester, New York, Armand Schaubroeck Steels. And that goes back just a little bit. We're going to get him in here right now. Come on and tell us a little bit about his story and everything he's got going on, because the man has a full plate. Armand, welcome aboard.
Thank you, David.
Glad to have you here with us today. And first off, now, we started this with the song that you did several years ago. You've had your group together how long now?
It's since the 60s. It was actually recorded in 1973, and at that time, Billboard gave it a good review as a 45.
Fantastic. Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I caught it, because back at that point, as a matter of fact, that was around the time that I met John. We were both doing country radio in Tampa, so I was out
cool.
of the I was out of the pop market at that particular point in time. But it's a great song. I really love it. I'm glad I now have a copy, because if I didn't, I'd want one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, David. It's on our own. It's on our own record company, Mirror Records, and we've had that go on since 1967. And, you know, we recorded many artists, but I also used it as a label for our band to perform and release records, too.
That's wonderful. You just have so much going on here. You've got your radio show. You've got I would think that the House of Guitars, from what I've heard, I haven't been able to get back there to see it, but I would say from what I've heard about that sounds like a full-time job all by itself. And then you do this other stuff. You've got your own group. You've got your own record label. How do you do it?
I don't know. We just been doing it for so long that we don't know any better. You know, we love what we do, and we like the young people. All the young people coming in with their guitar stories and record stories. So we get along with our customers a lot. A lot of them are more friends, you know, and they hang out and they talk guitar. You know, it's great. We started in 1964. In the basement of my mother's house, and at the time, she'd come home from work. She worked in a factory, Churons at the time, optical, and she'd come home, and I'd have kids all in the basement blasting guitars through big amps. And at the time, music stores were kind of like jewelry stores: look but don't touch, come back with your parents. Right. But we had them all the kids hooked in blasting, you know. So it was a different approach, you know. Then we took trade-ins, which the other music store wouldn't take trade-ins at the time because it would make their new instruments look old, they felt. So, but we took trade-ins, we discounted prices. You know, we had a very low upkeep as far as their expenses went, you know.
You pushed the envelope.
Yes. Yeah, we changed the style of the music store.
You said one key thing that so many of the artists we've had on the show have mentioned, especially the successful ones, the ones that have been around for a long time, and that is you love what you're doing. And I had a very good friend of mine who happens to be a fairly well-known person, Joe Bonsall of the Oak Ridge Boys, expressed that to me many years ago, that you know, if you're in music just for the money, you're in the wrong business. But if you're in music because you love it, you'll probably make money. And it seems to have served him well and you as well. Now, you mentioned story, and I have to draw on that because I know you have an amazing story of your own. Start off, if you would, please, by telling us where the name for the group came from, Armand Schaubroeck Steels.
When I was a young kid at 17, I got busted for safe cracking, and I went to a maximum security reform school, Elmira Reformatory.
I know the place.
And then I was sentenced for 3 years. I did a year and a half inside, and then I did the rest on the streets in Rochester, New York. I'm not that person anymore. Now, if I found a wallet full of money, I would try to return it. I'm a little embarrassed that I stole it one time because it's important you like yourself. If you don't like yourself, then you know you're going to in for a lot of trouble in your life. So you have to go by your own rules and have your own morals and stick to that, you know.
Well, I think I think your record of accomplishment over the years speaks for itself, and I don't think you have much to be embarrassed about. I mean, you learned a lesson, and it probably wasn't the easiest way to learn that lesson, but I think we all screw up in one way or another over the years. The fact that you have evolved into not only a very successful businessman, but it sounds to me like you have evolved into quite a good person as well. And I think you should be more proud of what you are than embarrassed about a mistake you made a long time ago.
Thanks for the nice words, David.
No, I mean it. I mean it completely. John Bon Jovial, you're sitting there awfully quiet, and I know you're digging this. Talk to us. You got a question for Armand?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean the song. I mean, "Baby Love, I'm Coming Home." That just kicks ass. I love that. That's great.
Wait till I hear the next track.
Yeah. But you're talking about doing nefarious things as in your youth, and the only reason why I chuckled is because I can remember when I was 13 years old, and my friend Jeff and I got busted in downtown Boston at Filene's and for shoplifting, and we had the living daylight scared out of us by Detective Capucci. I will never forget this guy. And
threw you in the slammer, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I mean, they let us go. Probably because we were so young. I think had we done it at 17 or 18, that might have been different. But I tell you what, that was enough to make me realize, there's probably a better way to do things like this. And so I applaud you for turning things around. I can certainly relate to that.
They gave me youthful offender